Hi friends. Well, today we're going to talk about the emotional highs and lows of life in phase 2.
It can be quite the roller coaster, and we're going to tell you about some recent experiences we've had, and hopefully by relaying those experiences we can help you cope a little bit better as you go through these highs and lows.
Welcome to Living Phase 2.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Nancy, and we're empty nesters striving to live life to the fullest.
Our goal is to give you the best hints, tips, and tricks so you can live your best phase 2 empty nest life.
Yes. Well, and today we're going to share with you a story of highs and lows that we've experienced. It seems like as you move into phase 2 and continue through, the pendulum swings where the highs are higher and the lows are lower. It's just a natural part of life. A couple of weeks ago, my mother's been sick for a while. She's been on hospice for the last couple of years. But she took quite a turn for the worse and then passed away a few days later. She was buried on Saturday, and then the very next Saturday our son got married. So we went from a lot of sadness to a lot of joy, and those emotions just swing back and forth.
Right, and we hope that we can just give you a few tips or tricks that we used and thinking about these emotional highs and lows. This is going to be part of this part of life, this phase of life that we call phase 2, where your kids have left, they're making their own families. Next thing you know, you get notified that your daughter is having a grandchild, and you're so happy. And then, a few days later, you find out your best friend from high school has cancer. And those things are part and parcel of this part of life. Not that other parts of life don't have their challenges, but as you get older and as you have older friends and you have family, this can be a much more natural thing to have these massive swings. And I think the reason we decided to put this video together today was I don't think you can have a much bigger swing than a funeral one Saturday and 7 days later a wedding on another Saturday. And it made us really thinking about these highs and lows. But let's talk a little bit. And first of all, we're not medical professionals, but we're going to talk a little bit about sadness before we talk about joy. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about a little bit of the difference between depression and sadness, because sadness is a healthy thing. Mm-hmm. Sadness is a normal thing. You lose a loved one, you have an issue in life. It is absolutely okay to be sad.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's that your child has left the nest and you're a new empty nester, and that song comes on the radio while you're driving that you used to always sing with your kids in the back seat, and you have that little tear that comes down your eye and that momentary sadness. But then you get past that. That's completely different than depression.
It is, and that's a really good example that you gave about a child leaving the nest, because that can bring feelings of both sadness as well as joy. Because on the joy side, you've done your job right as a parent, that your child has left the nest and is now making a life of their own.
Yes, so look at those joys, look at those highs to counteract when you're feeling those lows, and always keep an eye on that. But let's talk a little bit, Nancy, why don't you cover why don't we talk about a few of the signs that for depression versus sadness?
Sure. So depression is really, it's sadness that lingers, that doesn't go away. It's also apathy, just feelings of worthlessness, or excessive sleep to no sleep, excessive eating to no eating. Mm-hmm. And these are things that continue to go on, and that pendulum is so swung to one side, it's not going back to center.
Right. And the most important thing, if you think that you have these symptoms, these things are continuing, this mood swings and all these things Nancy talked about, it's so important for you to seek help. Mm-hmm. Talk to your doctor. That's the first place to go. Talk to your faith leader, your minister, your priest, your rabbi. Talk to your friends. Bring it up. Don't be this is not something that should be in the shadows. This is something that you should talk to people and say, I'm really having a hard time shaking this feeling.
Right.
And if it goes as far as feelings of suicide, death, those types of things, don't wait a moment.
Right.
Reach out, and if it's really immediate, call 988 on your cell phone, or you can text 988, and that's the suicide crisis hotline across the United States.
Yeah.
So it is important to recognize that difference in sadness, which is normal and healthy, and the things that we have to do to cope with loss or problems, to depression. But yeah, you can have those great swings in this phase of life, and it's if you're not, when you go from a sad event and you go to a happy event, if you can't have that pendulum swing back over, that's when really you should seek help.
Right. So let's talk about if you're sad, what are some things that you can do? You're experiencing sadness, you want to get that pendulum back to center again. Some of the things that you can, because you may not feel like doing anything. I mean, you may be swinging close to apathy and just not have a lot of interest in anything. But look at what things that you've loved to do in the past and get involved in some of those things that brought you joy. Maybe it was cooking or baking. Get together with a friend, play family games, things like that. A fun
It could be working on a car, a hobby, gardening. Exercise is one of the absolute best things can do.
That helps your hormones and just your whole mental health.
Right, to move you away out of that sadness phase of whatever that you're going into, and back to, as we say, back to center. One thing to think about, though, as we're talking about this pendulum swinging, and like we had these highs and these lows, and you can sometimes swing so quickly from the highs to lows. Also be aware that when you're at a high, it can really kind of almost crash a little bit, and just be aware of that, and be aware that you may want to use some of these coping mechanisms, and just be ready for that. I think another thing, and a lot of people that watch our channel love our travel videos. We hear a lot from that. That's another coping mechanism. Plan something to look forward to.
Right. Set a goal, something that you can really, you have a reason, when you get up in the morning, it's like, I want to reach this goal. I mean, one of the things I've been doing, if you've been following my shorts, is I've had, since back in March, a goal of walking 590 miles before my 59th birthday in August.
And you're doing great.
I'm doing great.
You're getting there. And you're bringing me along on the ride.
My goal is to walk 4 miles a day to reach that. And some days I walk less and some days I walk more. But I have a goal for exercise and for my health is what it's really for. And it gives me something to look forward to.
Yeah, and right after your mom passed away, the very next day, we went out on a 4-mile walk.
We did.
And I think that's one of those things that getting your body moving, getting out, do not sit at home, do not go into that seclusion, so to speak, and get out and really understand that life is out there, life is still going on, and life is going to continue. Planning things you look forward to, finding hobbies, going out and continuing to live. That's probably the best way to say it. Continuing to live and not to get stuck in whatever it is that's brought you the sadness that you're feeling right now.
Right, because we're in phase 2 of life. This is the best phase of life while we have our health and we have the ability to do some of our bucket list items. So don't get yourself stuck in the negative side of life. Enjoy phase 2 because it's going to go by in a blink of an eye.
It will. So we hope that us touching and telling a little bit of our story, our absolutely insane 10 days that we had. It wasn't 4 weddings and a funeral, but it was a funeral and a wedding. And it was not necessarily easy. But in the end, it was a joyous occasion with our son marrying a wonderful, wonderful young lady. And even with the loss of your mother, who we loved very much, it was an interesting bookend to life. From an end of a life to a beginning of a new life.
And I do want to say, I still experience sadness when I think about my mother. In fact, I have to try not to cry because when I think about it, it is very sad. And those waves, they come and they go. But the important thing is, to not dwell
Yes.
on the sadness. And I know she's in a better place. I know she's happy and she's pain-free and it's joyous in heaven. So
and honestly, making this video, because this is something we enjoyed, is a little bit of therapy for us.
It is. It is.
So, but thank you, friends. We appreciate you listening to our story. We hope this has been helpful. It's very important, if you have some coping mechanisms, if you're dealing with things in life in phase 2 or any phase of life, leave a comment. It can help other people to hear the stories that people may be experiencing, and those comments can help other people. So, tell your story in the comment section. Share all that with other people that are part of this phase 2 flock, this community, and maybe we can all help each other as we all experience these highs and lows in phase 2.
Right. So thank you for watching. Friends, we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for watching and have a beautiful day.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.